À votre santé, which means good health. This is du bonnet, an apéritif. Good.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. אמרו אמן, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום.
I was born on the 1st of July, 1925, in a town called Szydłowiec in Poland. I came to France when I was 5 months old, almost dying, because somebody, after I explained that, thought I had scurvy, because when I went to France, the doctor, first thing he told my mother is to give me some orange juice. So I must have drinking a lot of orange juice because it turned out to be quite healthy. I was raised in France. I was that 5 years old, yeah.
In Paris?
In Paris. In the street of Paris where I was raised, it's called Rue Palicao. My name?
Yeah.
Louise, and then my name was Louise Band. B-A-N-D. That was my last name.
The appetizer, gyrosis is done. Jordan just made chicken soup and matzo balls.
My parents were born the same place I was born. They were all born in Poland. My mother was Paula Band, B-A-N-D, and my father was Maurice. My father made a good living. He had a shop with, I think he had about 5 or 6 workers, but he had to work very hard to have that for years and years. Well, I had a brother, Marcel, and he was the sweetest thing in the world. He was such a good brother. And he was a big eater. I know he could eat 2 baguettes in one meal. I was the baby of the family. My sister, Annette, was 6. Yeah, my sister was always a snub. And sometimes when I have a problem with something, I wanted her help. She never wanted. She said, I've done it on my own, you can do it on your own too. That was my sister.
עם ישראל חי, עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי, עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי.
How was your relationship with Annette?
Not good. She was a very self-centered sister. And I remember we had to sleep in the same bed, and she used to kick me. And the happiest day of my life is when she got married. And then I had the bed for myself. But there was a good family, except for my sister.
I say 25.
Woo, 25.
Do I hear 20? 20. Okay, 20. 20.
I was raised Jewish, of course, and we used to go to the synagogue every Friday night. But after the war, no. In fact, I didn't want people to know I was Jewish. I mean, it was like I'm not sure what word to use. And I didn't raise my children Jewish because I didn't want them to go through what I went through. The war started in France in 1939, and the Germans came in Paris in 1940, which I was 15. Yeah, in fact, when the war started, they sent, the children in the country because they were afraid of the bombing and everything. And that's when I first saw my first cow. I've never seen a cow before. I was a Parisian,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
What was the last memory you have of your parents?
Before they died?
Before they died.
Then I'm going to cry. My sister told me when they were arrested on the 17th of July, 1942, I would never forget that. And when my sister found out, she went, she knew exactly where they were taken. And she went, and she was able to see my mother and my father. I didn't go because she didn't want me to go. She was afraid she may be taking me too. And she didn't want me to go through that. But the year before that, my brother was taken on the street and sent to a place called Drancy. That's where they will send people just before they deport them. And we went to try to see him because he was able to write us a letter telling us exactly where he will be. So we went to see him. And I remember seeing him. I was 15 there, he was 18. And I can remember his head was shaved. And we could see him very well, but we knew it was him. After that, we never saw him after that. That was the last time I saw him. That was very hard. I survived because when my brother-in-law, her husband, he had to go on a business trip. And my sister didn't want to be by herself. So she asked my mother if I could stay with her overnight. And the night I went to stay with my sister, that's when, it is called the Raffle, R-A-F-F-L-E. And that's when they went and arrested my mother and father. I should have been there. But the fact I went to stay with my sister, that's what saved me. I had an apartment in Paris, at the edge of Paris. And I met, I forgot her name, it's amazing. Oh, Thérèse. We decided to spend the night in my house. And I had a place where I used to cook, a little gas stove. And it was very cold. So I used to keep it at night, so to keep the house warm. Anyway, one day I woke up in the hospital. And she was dead. She died. And I found out later on, the light went off and the gas came through. So we were asphyxiated from the gas. That's when I met that nurse. I remember every Friday, the German used to come to take a lot of it because it was all Jewish people. They would take them and send them by bus somewhere else. And she took me to that room. It was the TB room. And I was there for about 6 months, until one day she was not there when they came, and they got me. So they put me in a room, and there was a bus there waiting, and I had to go on that bus, which the bus was supposed to go to some camp. And that day, the French underground, bless their little heart, came and saved me. Ça, c'est le mémorial de la déportation des Juifs de France. And here is the name of my brother, and here is mon frère, which means my brother. It's hard.
I know.
It's very hard. Okay. And this is my mother and my father here. But I was very optimistic. I mean, I always say, this is my saying, if the German didn't get me, nobody or nothing can.
We were once slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. God took us out of Egypt and saved us. If he did not save us, we might still be slaves in Egypt. We are no longer slaves, so today we tell the story of Passover. It is our job to tell the Passover story and to do things to remember what happened to the Jewish people so many years ago.
À votre santé.